Hello, everyone. Welcome to SunGates Center. This is your radio host, Sharon Serota, and with me today is Ella Arbit. So welcome, Ella.
Hello, Sharon.
And this is Ella's second time with us today. What last time we talked about was her transformational experience and angels. And in our conversation today, I'm going to ask Ella, what is on your mind? What would you like to talk about today regarding the future field of medicine?
Well, on my mind, there's love, and love is guarding me from probably saying too much, because as far as medicine is concerned, there are concerns, very valid concerns, and I feel there is a breakthrough that happened today between God and I. I went to bed at 7:30 at night feeling that the day has ended. We manifested a lot of good, and my nerves were clean. My mood was excellent. I felt a little bit of hope. I went to bed and knew that the new day will be a new brightness, I would say. I never anticipate anything because the part of me is very creative. The part of me loves what I'm doing on a regular basis, and that sustained me for a long time. So as far as medicine, my mind was on integrative medicine before, where I became a fellow. The fellowship with Dr. Andrew Weil was a wonderful experience. I was part of the cohort of, in our cluster was 100 people, 100 bright heads, gorgeous hearts who wanted more. And more was every day. So at the time when I entered the fellowship, it was, I think I graduated 4 years ago, people were asked what was the purpose of them entering into fellowship. And many of them said the public opinion that we need to know more pushed us into more. I was astonished because in my mind, it was a calling. I called my soul to follow the path.
And what's really interesting is that you are a medical professional. So even before that, you were already on that path. And what this did was introduce you to more information, more concepts, another way of being and being in that medical field, but seeing how it can help people and service people.
Well, yes. Truly broke the pattern in me, but there was still stigma about people who are brighter than bright. People who have kind of unusual experiences, but to my mind today, that's a normalcy. I would say, speaking a normal language, the exposure to not meager, exposure to right, not wrong, because we have kind of, I would say, twisted medical field where people continue to deteriorate. If you look at the statistics today, and I'm speaking from the evolutionary point of view, not mind of mine who just woke up with realization there is something wrong. We all are on the path. We all are aware that we have a broken down medical system.
And it's so interesting because there is the evolution of medicine, but there also is the evolution of people in their hearts and what they're seeing. What used to be something that was so different and not as of normal is today the norm. And we're just now experiencing and realizing that there's more to what we see, especially when it comes to energy and vibration. And we're seeing how that affects us in a healthful way. And so people are more open to this. Is that correct?
There are two pathways where I see evolutionary we are going. They're going to collide. Why? There's an old school, fix me now. I want it. So as a prescriber, just threw away my prescription pad weeks ago. Said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not, because there is a better pathway that is known to me now. Now, what's now? Last 6 years, love has worked with me. In my first program, I explained my life purpose. I explained the heartbreak that I experienced with losing my husband. But prior to that, there were instances of presence in my life. To my regret, and I'm sitting in this chair not very proudly, I'm going to say I had no idea what happened. I was always kind, loved, and knowing. Almost like I was born this perfect way. Was my life terrific? Just like everybody else's. Now, statistically, I ask love, Father, what's the experience that we all go through during life? Do we actually know you exist? And he said 40% of people have me in their lives. Who knows about that?
It's about trust and faith and something higher. Like when we talked about the intellect, for example. Can you speak further about that?
Intellectually, we have no idea. And it's not meant that way. He is gorgeously wonderful, our Father and the Mother. He's more present in the verbal form. And please forgive me for saying these words because it's very sacred material. Mother is there all of the time. In my future programs, I'm building a wonderful website, soulfultalk.com. On that website, the plenitude of everything will be allowed. The reason I'm saying allowed because there is no word that comes from my chest that is not given to me by love. By trade, I'm a reformer medical professional, not die hard. My heart is with him. So in a way, I was transformed from, I never belittled my patients. I always trusted. So speaking of trust, I trusted the heart of my patient. I could reach that heart. They would open. My patients wanted more. I always could, in my mind, know the diagnosis. I could tell when they're going to die. Why? In the long-term care profession, you kind of need to know those planned events. What for? To protect. And I'm not speaking from the ego portion. He was just giving me the information in my trusted heart. I never asked. He was there. He was present with me. Now, there were absolutely incredible evolutionary events that took place in my phase of knowing. I have witnesses to those events. When Father was resurrecting a person in front of my eyes. When it happened, 2 times I knew in advance. I had no idea what exactly is going to be happening, but he would resurrect a person. A dying person would come back in front of everybody's eyes. I had 3 excellent experiences. The 4th, it was just like I knew what's taking place. I didn't even comprehend enough. I just knew what he is. I played in accordance to what his will was in the 4th place. Now, twice on the airplane, where I had no ways of intervening except for being present, and person was revived.
So these are just awesome miracles, that you could see something happening and changing right in front of your eyes. That, people, experiencing something and visualizing this happening, that you see somebody being healthy.
It's called beyond. Beyond to the point where you don't need explanations. But he said begin with a promise. He gave me a promise that he will teach me the way that nobody will ever regret that they knew me. And that me, it's mostly him than me. Through me, people can see what his regard for us is. Transcendency, for example. In 40% of excellent experiences that people have, there's a transcendency. Before we began this program, you start to feel the heat coming through your internal presence, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I felt the heat, and I was going to ask you, what does that mean?
Welcoming you. He was kindly offering his presence for your kindness to intervene maybe to the degree because you're part of it. you're a willing soul. So transcendency is connection with beyond you, with your soulfulness, with your means. But means of communication at that level are very perfect. Self-healing takes place in that realm.
And also just knowing that, and you mentioned this earlier too, about, you come here, yet you're perfect. However, now you're experiencing all these different things going on in your life, different events that transform and change you. And now we're reaching a point where we want additional transformation to come back and realize who we are. That there is a reality in that of knowing who we are.
There is a generational change. This is what both parents are telling through me right now. Change is always perfect in a way that they connect with us. Change is them. As far as evolution, there are forces in life that work against you, like like people connected with chemicals and implementation of medications in your body is de-evolutionary process. Father is angry. Honestly, God, it is not the way He made us.
Yes, it seems as though, people have addictions, or they have things that are going on in their life, certain events, and then they become triggered. And through these events, they experience emotions, they experience, what it's like to be outside of yourself, to have these experiences that also cause impact you, with physical ailments. It could be something that you're going through even on a mental level. So what you're saying then is that with the guidance and through transformation, transcendence, that people can go beyond this. And people have that willing, when they do have that willing to do this, that they will have a shift. So can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yes. The way you put it, my guardian angel Michael connected with me and mentioned a couple of repositioning, I would say, to your statement. Willingness. He said ability. It's more of an ability. You need to be able to connect at that level. That's part of transformational process. It's not given always. Why is it not a gift at all the angles? Because it cannot be promised. You have to work it too. So it's a combined combustion of your ability, their presence, then in turn your presence, their willingness, and it's almost like a spiritual DNA presence where you twist, but not your ego. You twist and you're becoming more able and more desired for them to be working with you at that level again.
And it's also a matter of people asking for this help, that when people ask for assistance, on any level, you can ask, go inside and ask your inner self, for guidance, for assistance, or ask someone, like yourself or someone who has that ability to tap in and to assist you in your healing process.
Not always. Partially, people are blinded by their egos. Their ego is manifest.
Oh, wouldn't you believe that? And I call it ego. Right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
but it's okay, though, because, our egos can get in the way, but they also help us to propel us and move us forward in our life. However, the mind is also playing in this role, and because the mind believes certain things, and we're always analyzing how things should be instead of, living out through our heart, and having experiences more through a heart-based life. So when you combine these and you have it, because you're either in your head or you're in your heart, so it's how you're leading your life. So when you're talking about moving forward on a higher level, an intellect maybe, or something of a higher consciousness, how would you state that as far as people getting their health back or transforming themselves?
Well, I kind of... okay. I manifested a mistake by saying ego. So that that protocol kicked me into a different gear. So I'm watching myself, even as advanced as I am as a soul, but ego kicked in, and I was born in Russia, and very rarely I say the Slavic way, ego. See it. So
That's
what's
okay.
the transformation? Hang on. What's the transformation? You can go back and forth. So what? So the part of me that is still subtle, that part that he never teaches, can still make a mistake. So a devout person can still regress to the point of ego. And I'm smiling because he's smiling with me right now. I can still regress, which I do adorably, he says. He lets me. Why? I need to connect with that part of me. It's not a bad part of us, but he only teaches that part in the end. That's his last resort with a person. And it's kind of a kiddish way of, I'm your kid, hear me out now. And I can talk to him from that point, which is he's very paternal. And I cannot even speak at this level on the radio because it's my kid way with him. He kids with you at that level. He sings with you at that level. There's a very gorgeous part of us that can be that sweet with him, but it's unobservable for normal relationship with love. Now, you can teach yourself, but it's a last portion of your journey with him. Last, not meaning time, he says. You're not going anywhere, he says, kid. You're staying here on this earth because you have other things to do too. So he protects me at that level. Very few can know him at that level. So ego is a last resort for crisis situations. He trained me on the ego level to take people out of crisis within seconds. I can kick them into the heart pathway. There's a bridge that we build with him in seconds. So Xanax is not needed.